Hello, good evening. It's Friday night. Hopefully you've all had fish and chips for tea and are all excited to be here joining us to watch the Cheese Room. Or maybe some nice Wensleydale and Stilton, as it is the Cheese Room. I'm obviously the caller, live from the Man Cave this evening, and we're going to be discussing, unfortunately, the game in the rain at Turf Moor, 1-0 defeat to Burnley. Talking about Conte's reaction to that, and then previewing the Leeds game and talking about whatever's on your mind as a Spurs fan. We appreciate you being here. Super Chats are live throughout the show, and that's the best way to get your comments read out and heard. So please do remember that Super Chat button and show us some love. And also, please smash that like button as many times as you possibly can, because that really helps the channel out. So joining me tonight, he hates stupidity. So we've decided that he must be the Harlow's answer to Roy Keane, all the way from Vienna. It's HG. And why were you rolling your eyes at my fish and chips intro?
Because I'm jealous. Because we don't have it, and I do kind of miss fish and chips.
Do you not?
So, no, they have some version, but it's not the same. It's not the same. There are lots of versions of things. Like you can get baked beans here, but it's not the same. I'm all right. Yes, I do hate stupidity. My life goal is to eradicate it, which is why I'm a teacher. Sadly, social media has made it impossible because I see it all the time now. But yeah, stupidity. It's good to have 4 people with me who I don't consider stupid. So I don't know if that's a compliment.
I mean,
but
that is about the kindest thing you've said about me. So ever.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, you're here too.
You meant 3 and caller, really, didn't you? So John has made up the panel tonight, and he's managed to fill it full of people he likes. So, welcome, John. How are you?
I'm all right. I've been to a little trip to London today. Went up to Westfield to get my phone fixed. Had to look at the Olympic Stadium. I won't call it anything else. But I skirted past that.
Is it fixed?
It is fixed. It's working. Fingerprint works. Charging works. Everything. Happy days.
It's just weird you don't answer my calls. It's like I thought it was broke, but maybe you've just blocked me.
Just don't like you.
It's probably fair. Okay, son of John is James, football manager expert extraordinaire. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Hope everyone's doing well, keeping safe at the moment. It's Friday. Hope everyone's having a nice evening. I am.
Good stuff. And mate of John, returning guest Derek, the Leeds fan. Derek, not such a good season this season, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, this could be my second and last appearance if we carry on playing the way we do.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, and thanks very much for sticking around during the Burnley review. You can laugh. I'm going to try and keep it quite brief because laughable really is what it was. But before we get to that, let's talk about our sponsors, Football Prizes. So some fantastic prizes coming up in the world of football prizes. What we got at the moment, John? We've got a Jurgen Klinsmann signed and framed Spurs shirt. I mean, there you go. $4.95 a ticket. There's 99 tickets. Nearly said 100, but that would be giving it a disservice. And of course, you can save 10% with the code POD10 as part of the Cheese Room's tie-up with it. So what are you waiting for? Get over there. And I'm sure they'll have some more Tottenham prizes on it within the coming week. They've normally got some hospitality tickets, but they've been won. So we'll see what they've got coming up in the pipeline. Right, into the show. Let's talk about the show. Do we have to talk about Burnley 1, Tottenham 0? Yes, we do. Obviously, the good thing is it was not on TV in the UK, so no one saw it here, right, John? No?
Definitely didn't see it.
Didn't see it. So all down to you, really, HG. So the starting lineups, you WhatsApped us, and I've got it. It's a shame we didn't load this into the screen, actually. Friday run sheet. HG, were you surprised by the lineup? No. So you weren't surprised. Were you happy then? Would you have changed anything?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough question. To know the result, I'd be like, oh yes, I would have changed it. No, I suspect if Reguilon's not fit, then Sessegnon had to start. We knew it was going to be a back five, or as we seem to see that a lot. Maybe Doherty is a better attacker than Royal, but you've just beaten Man City, so they're not going to change the team too much. Yeah, I wasn't surprised. No.
No, I was just relieved again that Winks wasn't playing and Bentancur got a start. Then he gets injured, so now I'm going to have to tolerate Winks again. I mean, it was the worst possible outcome for me. The weather was maybe a factor, but Bentancur, James, nasty slip early on, and obviously we're drawn at half time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate whenever Harry Winks has to come on and play for us. But he's gone injured, and injuries happen in football. But it's unfortunate it's happened to probably our best midfielder, right? Aside from Skip, who is also injured.
But
yes.
I think I read that in all his time at Juventus, Bentancur had missed 3 games, and now he's going to miss 3 weeks within 3 games of being at Spurs.
Welcome to Spurs.
The Spurs curse strikes again.
Thing is, I'm not saying this is necessarily what caused it, but this is the issue with playing lots of games with the same squad with limited times in between, with no rotation, is that you're more likely to have injuries or have fatigue lead to injuries, right? So, I mean, this was going to happen at some point. So,
well, unfortunately, it happened like 2 games into his career with us. So not the best start. 0-0 first half, and Derek's had enough. He's gone. 0-0 first half. I don't blame you, Derek. I don't blame you. Fair score, would you say, HG? It was pretty, nothing.
Well, no, I think 1 goal was going to settle it. I just hoped it was going to be us. It felt like one of those games that whoever scores first will win. Because we weren't great. Burnley weren't great. I felt like Burnley were probably more comfortable with what they were doing because 4-4-2 is what they do, and it's what they've done for pretty much all of Sean Dyche's tenure. So, yeah, it was always going to be one moment, and every set piece that Burnley got, you were a bit nervous, and the weather doesn't help, but it is just weather. Like, I mean, it's not as if the entire Tottenham team grew up on the beach. They didn't. It rains in Denmark and it rains. Maybe Eric Dyer doesn't because it's in Portugal, but it is one of those things that it seems a bit of it just ties into the whole Southern softy nonsense. But we go to Burnley, we tend to do all right there. I think it's only our 2nd defeat, but a wet Wednesday in Burnley is the new wet Tuesday in Stoke or whatever it used to be. So it's windy. And plus, Burnley's on the top of hills as well, so it's windy and it was wet and it was nasty. But it's nasty for both sides, so you have to adapt. And obviously, we didn't. Burnley had.
Well, the XG. I don't know if you've seen the XG, but for the first half, Burnley 0.17, Spurs 0.14. So that kind of tells you all you need to know about the game. Much as though I don't enjoy that statistic normally, I think that's a fair reflection. Spurs, despite Winks being brought on as a half-time substitute, improved in the early phases of the second half. Emerson finding loads of space, hooked across, which led to a chance for Davis to just hit Pope. John, were you optimistic at that point, thinking we're going to do something here? We were piloting at one point, weren't we?
Yeah, although we weren't getting clear-cut chances, we were sort of opening them up, and the outball every time was Emerson. I know that's our running joke now. Give it to Emerson because he won't cross it. But on that occasion, he did really well. He
did put 1 or 2 decent crosses in. He spanned a lot of other ones, but there were 1 or 2 good ones.
He definitely is getting a little bit better. I mean, the first half he decided to cut in and shoot with his left foot, which was just horrendous. Yeah, he might as well crossed it. But for me, he's getting there slowly, and it was working for us. Son and Kane were both coming out and trying to flip the ball out to him. It did seem to be working, and then he got taken off.
And then he got taken off. Kane obviously shot left-footed from 30 yards out, just wide. But and Kulusevski had a sighter, didn't he, from distance, and ended up playing right wing back. I mean, were you excited when you saw Lucas coming on, HG? Did you think finally, Lucas is going to play right back?
I did. I was.
You suck it in. You were sucking in.
I was suckered in. I just because why would you put Kulusevski there? Like, Lucas can't play in. We know that. Kulusevski was designed to play that role. He cuts in from the right on his favoured level. Look, I know Luke will be a right wing back, but if you're going to pick one of those two to do that job, Surely you pick Lucas. So I did expect to see it. I thought, you're right. We were better for the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half. We'd created a few things. We'd hit the bar. We'd, Kane's back, kind of, hit it onto the bar. We were getting there. But, yeah, to see Kulusevski go outside and then Bergwijn as well, 10 minutes later, you're just like, what is this inverted wing-back nonsense? Yeah, we may have had, 5 attackers on the pitch. But it's crazy. You might as well have 5 centre forwards and have one of them play right wing. There's no logic to it. So I just, it was the highlight probably of the entire game was when I sat there thinking Lucas might actually play wing back now because we want them to be attacking players, and then he wasn't. But I mean, to be fair to Kulusevski, like once the sub was made, Kulusevski, that's when he had the chances. That he looked probably more threatening coming from that role. But it doesn't mean it really suits him either.
No. Aaron Lennon, what a of all people, what a free kick from Sessegnon. A little bit of naivety from Sessegnon.
So is that
James? Let's ask James. He hasn't spoke for a while.
He's a young player and he was injured for quite a long time. Oh, there's a cat. There's a disappearing cat.
Fucking the Matrix. It's about a cat in the Matrix, isn't it? Disappearing cat.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Insert joke about disappearing pussies.
I'd rather not. I got in trouble.
Oh, we had to go there.
And of course, then 1-0 was scored by me. Was Romero at fault, or do you give credit for the set piece and Bemby attacking the ball? Let's go to you, HG, on that one.
Romero was at fault because he got beaten in the air. So yes, but I don't hold it against him. I mean, mistakes are made. I think we all think he's a decent player. It's just it was his first experience of probably that kind of environment. The ball, the ball, exactly. The ball was up and under. There was no real whip on it. It was just stick it in the right area and hope someone gets there. And Ben Mees had more experience. But
I mean, you knew we were going to get beat. If we were going to get beat, it was going to be like a goal like that at Burnley, wasn't it, John? I mean, goodness sake, they're just like the most lob it in the box. Hope Vegas gets his nut on it. And Rodriguez, Rodriguez, that sitter he missed. Oh, my Lord, that was next level missing, that was. But same sort of thing, ball over. Of course, it's just chaos. We just can't cope with it, can we?
They're the modern day Wimbledon without the elbows and full stud tackles and stuff. But you can't blame them. Burnley is not a very big place. It's not much bigger than Bognor. And they've managed to stay in the Premier League for 7-8 years now? I can't remember how long it is.
Yeah.
But Sean Dyche has done an amazing job there, you have to say. What's their record signing? Is it 15 million or something?
I think it's Veghurst, isn't it?
Yeah. Veghurst, and before that, there was the guy who's out at Norwich. Is it Gibson?
Gibson was a lot of money, yeah.
It's baffling what he's managed to do. When you think what we've managed to spunk money away on, like Ndombele and the Chelsea.
Yeah.
Darren Bent was 16 million, wasn't he? David Bentley was that sort of money as well.
Yeah.
So I messaged at half time what you said it's going to be 1-0 either way. That's what you said, caller.
I did.
Yeah. The last two games that we've played there, we've won 1-0.
I don't like being right.
But it was always likely. We weren't terrible. We just struggled to break them down because they were very compact. They just weren't going to do what City did and let us play the ball around.
I think we've said it time and time again with Spurs, and this is where some of the frustration comes from watching us this season. We just can't break teams down who sit deep. And maybe last year as well, because since we've lost Eriksen, there's no one that picks the lock. Luckily, Leeds won't do that against us, and we'll come on to that in a moment. But playing the likes of Burnley, it's just it's hard yards. But it's hard yards for everyone in the league, isn't it? At the end of the day, you want to be top 4 at the end of the season, you got to win these matches, even though everyone is messing up around us. Unfortunately, the Gooners aren't right now. So
the one thing I would say about Burnley is they've been on a not a bad run. Liverpool only just scraped past them. They drew United. I think they drew possibly with Arsenal as well.
Yeah,
they've been on a decent run since they had their little COVID break.
Yeah,
and they do this every year. They have a bit of a terrible start and then build up. I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they'll have enough, especially with
The
Weghorst
only
now.
good thing about that result was it helps them out again in their battle against Newcastle. So I'm all for Newcastle going down. So that was the only. I'm all about positivity. That was the only positive thing I could find. And the final XG, Burnley 1.75 versus 0.72 Spurs. I think Burnley must have got like 1 for that flipping sitter that was missed by Rodriguez, because that was terrible. Look, ultimately, I'm going to go around the three of you here. Are we blaming the players, Conte, or Shan for going? Because every time she turns up to a game, we lose. James, what are you saying?
I think it's a bit harsh. It's a bit harsh to blame Shan. I'd love to, but it would seem a bit mean, so I won't do that. The cat's back. There you go. Do you know what? Actually, this is the one thing I will say. That game was reminiscent of every single performance we've had against the team in the bottom half of the table since Eriksen left. Very reminiscent of literally every single game. We could be talking about any game from the past 18 months, to be completely honest. So I'd have to say the players probably.
Let us know in the chat, by the way, who you blame. The players, Conte, Shan, or Levy. John, who are you blaming?
Definitely same as Kerry. Going for Shan all the way.
Yeah. Some sort
But
of
what's making this worse, Caller? Where is she going next Tuesday?
Oh, she's going to flipping Middlesbrough, isn't she?
Well, that's the FA Cup done that for.
Yeah.
We're out.
I've already put a bet on Borough now.
Wait, hang on a second. We know that Shan's dad is a goon. Are we sure she's not involved in this?
I think, yeah, it could be. It could be.
Agent Shan.
Yeah, some kind of sabotage from Caller's seat. That is what she's doing.
She's banned from it for the rest of the season.
You have been infiltrated, Caller. She is a Russian spy. She's giving you money so she can then destroy Spurs. I know how it works.
She shouldn't give me any money for it most of the time. So, Shannon and other wings. Are you blaming Shan as well then, HG, or do you think bringing it back to a little bit of seriousness, the players or Conte is to blame?
I don't know, like I do tend to blame managers when I think they don't do things that they could have done or maybe should have done. The players didn't play well, but they've also got 11 people trying to stop them from playing well.
Yeah.
That is a thing that I think people seem to forget about, that the other team is trying to stop Spurs. We had so few options. I think that's a problem. Even if we wanted to switch things around and maybe refresh the team a little bit, because we've got such a squad, we can't. So can I go like 70% Conte, 25% the players, and 5% Shan? Is that okay?
It's all right.
Answer.
Yeah. I think you're being a bit generous to Shan, to be honest, but whatever. That's fine. And then, of course, we had the further embarrassment of Conte throwing a tantrum of Putin-like proportions. So his post-match meltdown, he said, "I don't want to comment on the game. I want to comment only. In the last 5 games, we've lost 4 times. This is the reality." Well, thanks, Antonio. I couldn't read the match facts. There he is. This is the reality. No one deserves this situation. The club, the players, the fans, but this is the reality. I came to improve the situation. I don't know. I'm not so good to improve the situation. For me, it's very frustrating because I know we're working very, very hard. Look, and then obviously in the press conference today, we go back over with the charade of Conte apologising for the emotion. When I lose, if you expect that I'm happy or come to the press conference and laugh, I'm not this person. I'm sorry if I show my disappointment. Maybe it would be good to keep it inside. Or just not telling the players that they're shit every 2 minutes would probably be good. Because Jose tried that and it didn't work out so well. The club is very happy with my work, what I'm doing with my staff. I'm sure the club appreciates what we're doing. The problem is I'm a perfectionist. When I lose, I don't stay so happy. This has helped me have success in my career. And there's lots more quotes on the back of that. But, I mean, let's be honest. In summary, Conte's being a bit embarrassing now, isn't he, HG?
I mean, to me, yes. I don't like it. I love the passion. Everyone thinks, passion is great. I love that he cares, but at some point, like, you don't need to be telling the entire world that you're no longer good because you lost at Burnley. I mean, what? Like that's not lost in translation. That's just that there's a screw loose. It's annoying because we all know we were all disappointed with the result, but at some point you just go and kind of managerial 101 and you say, look, we've got to try harder. We'll do our best next time, and we'll move on with it. Like being upset, especially as basically throwing all the attention on himself, and is he going to stay at the club? Like Spurs need stability, and he's not really showing it.
He's the least. We don't want. He's less stable than plutonium.
Quite.
Can I just check? Are you suggesting that this man isn't stable?
I mean, look at that.
He looks like his own spitting image.
The only person that is less stable than him is him.
Well, he's been drinking all day in Glasgow, so
currently
probably
on a drug and drink fueled rampage in Glasgow, according to Leon. I don't know if that's true or not. But
I have something to say about the whole Conte thing. Has anyone noticed that because of what he said at the press conference, no one's talking about how bad the players were? I remember Jose used to do this whenever Chelsea would, like back in the first spell at Chelsea and actually at Inter, whenever they would put up a bad performance, he would do something ridiculous. So the media would focus on how ridiculous he was being, not the players. To some extent, is it possible what he's doing is, in a way, almost protecting some of the players from criticism externally by projecting all the criticism onto himself? I don't know if he's playing 4D chess or if he was just annoyed, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Mourinho used to do before he started just doing it all the time. Because
I think the issue is he sways from one exaggeration to the next. When we beat City, it's the best group of players he's ever worked with in his career. He's worked at Inter and won the title. He's worked at Chelsea and won the title. Are you really telling me sharing a dressing room with Ben Davies is one of the best people he's ever worked with? Do me a lemon. But it's just everything is at opposite end of the spectrum, isn't it? It's honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy how up and down he is. The reality is
that simply you praise the players when they win, and if you lose, you stick it on yourself. I think, isn't that managerial 101? You don't know. No one wants you to throw your own players under the bus. No one wants you to say to everyone the players aren't good enough, because suddenly when a window comes along, you can't sell them because you've told everyone they're not good enough. So I don't think it's even if you're not telling the truth, I don't think any of us need to know exactly what he thinks about what's just happened. He just needs to get the press conference out of the way. Everyone says, oh, well, he's sending a message to Levy. Not in a press conference, he isn't. Not. He works with the bloke. I can't believe that anyone with a brain cell is going to be like, you know what? Rather than tell him face to face, I'm going to send a cryptic message that
which by the way, he obviously has done.
Don't interrupt me. That some dickhead on Twitter has decided, well, this is what he's doing. It's not what he's doing. It's not.
Are you on a roll? Did I interrupt you?
I just wanted to get dickhead out there again. Can I say it again?
Yeah,
dickheads on Twitter. It's the dickheads on Twitter.
Rating.
I mean, for you guys, I guess they say week's a long time in politics, but I guess a week ago you didn't expect to beat Man City either. So having 2 games since, if you'd have said, oh yeah, we'll get 3 points from the 2 games, how happy or contented would you have been a week ago?
Yeah,
with 3 points from the 2 games.
I think. I saw Matt Hayes on Twitter said that the 2 games before, when we lost to Southampton, we lost to Wolves. You put that with the Man City game, you got 3 points out of 9. Doesn't matter who you beat, 3 points out of 9 isn't good enough, and now it's 3 points out of 12. The fact that we went to Man City and beat them just makes it all the more annoying that for some reason we are not changing things up, and we're doing the same stuff against weaker teams, and we're being punished. It is the definition of insanity what Spurs are doing right now.
Well, there's lots to talk about there, but we're going to move on. I think we're going to move on to Leeds and come back to some of the other points that have been annotated. Before I do that, Patreon, £3 a month. Why aren't you a member yet? Details are coming in the scrolling banner at the bottom of the page now. You do get we do run additional discounts for football prizes. You get, what else do you get, John? Hit me with it.
You always go to me, don't you? I'm just getting up the little group.
You're patron.
You won't even see it. We've got a fancy football, cricket, Euro 2021, bit out of date now. General chat, international football chat, next manager chat. Hopefully, we'll be quiet for a while. We've got match thread chat. We've got prediction league. We've got a ticket share chat, a transfer chat, and yes, and you've got a FIFA one as well, haven't you? All of those things, and apparently some merch coming by the time
it's here.
The
mugs are printed. The mugs are ready to go.
What, in the man cave?
No. It's not here. I'm just the monkey, not the organ grinder. Franco's got them in his man pad. So they're coming soon, and the t-shirts and badges, I believe, are in the post as well. So it's going to happen very, very shortly. And patrons who've been with us over a year, or have paid up front for a year, we'll get one of those mugs, and a t-shirt and a badge. So that's another thing you get. Yeah, true. What else do you get? Discounts.
Oh, we get special faces in the crowd pods from
exclusive content.
Exclusive pods that I might do with you at some point.
I suppose the question is, if you're not already a patron, ask yourself, what's £3 a month to me? And then join.
Do you know the best thing?
Derek, you're sold.
Oh, happy days.
He's in. Sorry, HG. The best thing.
Yeah, the best thing about the Patreon group is, I think, actually the ticket chat, because we have a fair few season ticket holders or ticket holders that for some reason can't go to games. And so, like, you know, without wanting to say that, you know, my mum has abused this privilege a number of times this season and taken someone's ticket and got to go to games that she probably wouldn't have been able to. So I don't know how much a membership for Spurs costs, but I'm pretty certain a yearly subscription to the Cheese Room is cheaper. And yeah, you know, every now and again there'll be tickets going, because, you know, Caller often, you know, would rather go and be a prawn sandwich muncher. Well, that is true. I'm not lying. You would rather do that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't. Not necessarily always. Sometimes depends who's.
No. I didn't say always, but there are occasions when you think it's a really good deal to go and spend £100 on a ticket than 25, because you get food thrown in, and so you can. He gives up his season ticket, or he sells it on for less than face value. So that really is, I think, the best thing about joining the Patreon group.
There you go. And sometimes I don't even sell it; I give it away. So there you go. Join the Patreon group. It's £3 a month, or you can pay up front for a discount. Right, let's talk Leeds. 12:30 Saturday, BT Sport. I'm excited. Derek, you've just lost 6-0 at Liverpool. Are you excited?
Excited that there could be several goals. Not sure that we're going to get enough of them. Yeah, it's been pretty tough the last couple of months. We're struggling in pretty much every area of the field. We can't seem to, stop conceding. We can't seem to create enough and take enough of what chances we do create to gather, get any decent results or enough run of results to just pull away from that area. If we were 3 or 4 points better off, I don't think people would be talking about Leeds being in a relegation fight, but we are there. And like you said, like John was saying earlier, Burnley is suddenly picking up again as usual. Norwich, had a few good results once Dean Smith went there. Newcastle seems to have picked up some results since they brought in those new players, and suddenly we're looking over our shoulder and thinking, "Oh my God, we're in trouble." The games that we could have picked up points or expected to pick up something against Newcastle, we lost. Against Everton, we lost. We didn't expect to win against Man U. We didn't expect to pick up anything against Liverpool. To the extent that on my soccer 6, I put Liverpool down for 5-0. So I was pretty gutted with that sixth goal that I lost that 3 extra points.
Yeah, but Derek, are you expecting to pick anything up against Spurs? Because you should be.
If you'd won maybe on Wednesday, possibly there'd have been a little bit of complacency on Tottenham's part that may have been a factor on Wednesday. on Wednesday, having beaten Man City, you may have thought, a couple of players may have thought, we've only got to turn up against these guys. They're inferior to Man City. Happy days, 3 more points, run a run. The fact that you've lost and the manner in which you've lost and all the feedback about Conte and what he said and how they feel, it'll probably make those players a little bit more determined tomorrow. So I think we're going to struggle, looking at how Leeds play, looking at how some of the players Tottenham have got. I think the key player for Tottenham tomorrow could well be Dyer, bringing the ball out of defence and, putting pressure on a Leeds player to probably try and close him down, which means there'll be space for someone else because of the way Leeds man mark all over the pitch.
Derek, do you still press everyone all the time?
Yes, we do, which is a problem, which is why, we got stuffed on Wednesday, and why we struggled against Man U the week before. Lindelof at Man U was bringing the ball out from centre-back. Matic was bringing the ball out, same on Wednesday. Dyer's a good enough player to do the same, and it will create problems for the 2 central midfield players. Do they stick? Do they twist? And it's causing, because Bielsa won't really change the tactics, it's causing a lot of the problems that we've got at the moment.
I mean, if you lose, if you lose to Spurs with a midfield of Winks and Højbjerg, you've got bigger problems than just than your centre midfield's not knowing whether to mark Dyer or not.
100%.
But I think the key. I really do think Dyer could be a key player tomorrow. If they allow him to settle on the ball and bring the ball out, it will cause the same problems that we had against Man U and against Liverpool. So I guess if we stop that, we've got a chance. If not, we could be in for the same problems that we've had the last couple of weeks.
HG, Leeds do press. We don't like a press, do we?
No, we don't. Leeds press. I mean, I guess they still play the 4-1-4-1. That seems to be what I remember. But it's where are they going to press from? That's the thing. Like if there's just one central striker, I think we'll be able to play around it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been playing with Dan James on his own up front. He was a winger at Man U and at Swansea. So it's not really his position, that he tends not to play Rodrigo. He doesn't tend to play Roberts either. So it's just a one up front, 3 behind him, and the 2 defensive midfield players. I think they'll play tomorrow because Koch's back and Forshaw will be the other one sitting in front of the back 4.
Bielsa's a strange one, isn't he? So, for starters, how old is he? Is he like 65, 70?
He's late 60s.
Yeah, he's pushing on to 70.
67.
And he crouches the whole game. And honest to God, if I do that, coming back up, it hurts. And I'm 40. How that guy's still doing it is quite incredible because he doesn't look like a physical specimen, but he must have very strong thighs. And good knees. Is time up for him, Derek? I mean, has he taken you as far as he can? I mean, I see the comments coming in about his sticking with his tactical philosophy, despite the fact it clearly doesn't work very often. What do you think? Is it time to change, or are we going to stick through to the end of the season? I guess we are.
I think they'll stick through with him till the end of the season. He has done a lot for the club. He has done a lot for the city, and I think a lot of people would be surprised if he was let go at this point. His time in terms of how he manages the players and his tactics, it probably does mean his time is up. They play such a high press. They have such an intense way of playing that, some of the players have probably burnt out now, 4 years of that sort of intensity. it's not really sustainable unless you turn the players over. Yeah. And he's kept a lot of the same players, and they've probably run their course in that respect. I've seen in several articles about possible replacements for him, and there's the Huddersfield manager Carlos Corberán. He was at Leeds for 3 years as the under-23 manager, and there's suggesting that he may well step up and take his place, particularly as Huddersfield are doing quite well in the Championship. So it'd be sad to see him go.
He's done a lot for your club at the end of the day, hasn't he? He's got you back in the Premier League.
Yeah, he has. No one else would have got us back into the Premier League the way he has. The way we played last season was great. To be honest, the way we've played most of this season's been really good. But there's times where he probably needs to consider the opposition that you're playing against, and you've got to be a bit more flexible with your tactics rather than thinking we can take on everyone. 6-0 middle of the week, 7-0 against Man City. There's teams that are good enough to pick us off. Last season we picked up points against Man City, Liverpool, Man U, Tottenham. We picked up points against all the top sides, but this year I think they've all worked us out.
Yeah,
and
one person on your side who's having a very good season, obviously Rafinha, looks like a cracking player, and I see a lot of people. I mean, you watch him all the time. You don't. I just see the highlight role on Match of the Day, to be honest. But is he the real deal? Has he got what it takes to be?
Yeah, he has. Player? He has. Having said that, he's been hooked. The game against Everton, he got hooked at half time, and he started on the bench against Man U because Bielsa felt he wasn't doing enough of the running and digging in. Whether that's because he's now Brazilian international, regularly starting for him in their World Cup qualifiers, and he's got I don't know, illusions of grandeur, or other teams have started speaking to him about where he might be going in the summer, and he's just maybe, I guess, biding his time, seeing out his last few months at Leeds before he moves on. But he is a really good player. We need him to be, as focused as he was at the start of the season if we're going to have a chance of picking up the points to get out the predicament we're in.
James, do you think it's a worse result, Leeds losing 6-0 or us losing 1-0 to Burnley? It's called Hobson's choice. But
well, we lost to a team that we should, in theory, beat, whereas I suppose Leeds weren't expecting to get anything against Liverpool, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
How often does goal difference actually settle things? I would say not that often, right? So from that perspective, I'd say our loss was worse, although the manner in which the Leeds result happened wasn't great.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good answer. That is, James.
Thank you.
I think to James's point, if you're at the top, it might not make a big difference, but because of where we are, Everton are 1 point behind us and a far better goal difference. So they only need to draw. We're in trouble. Same with Newcastle. If we're level on with any team, I think apart from Norwich, they're going to be above us in the table, which makes it a bit scary losing games by those sorts of margins.
I think that's it. That is the big thing. Like you said yourself, losing to Man United, losing to Liverpool. Okay, teams do that, but to have a goal difference of -8 from just 2 games. It is a massive issue. Like Spurs are almost have the same issue. Even though we dream of 4th, our goal difference is so bad compared to everyone else's that we know we need a point more than everyone else. Yeah. So you're right. Leeds might play the same way because it means that they have a better chance of scoring. But if the other team has a really good chance of scoring against you, sometimes it's better to take the 1-1s or the 0-0s. And just because that's what Burnley did. They don't concede many. They get points regularly, and now they're into victories. But almost like when you're down there, like Newcastle have won a couple of games, Burnley have won a couple of games. you see teams like Everton and Leeds and even Brentford are being sucked into it. And it really could be those three that go down at the end of it. Like if Norwich get a couple of victories, which they in theory still could, it's going to be pretty exciting down there. But every goal you concede, that goal difference will hurt someone at the end of the season. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, yeah. I've looked at before I came on tonight. Who have we got our next games? Right. Yeah, you guys tomorrow, Leicester, Villa. I don't think they're the games that are going to mean something to us. But then we've got Watford, middle of April, and then our last two games are Brighton and Brentford. And I think they're the two that particularly the final two games, could be the ones that define our season.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be pleased to know, Derek, that Romeo's just slammed in the second for Southampton, so that's game over tonight. The edge of the box. Quite a nice little volley.
Who are they playing?
All right.
Norwich.
Oh, is it Norwich? Okay.
Yeah.
It depends on who the assister is for my fantasy teams.
Oh, hold on. I'm watching the replay.
So Derek's like, wait.
There's no assist. It was a defensive clearance, and he was on the edge of the box.
It's a question for
3 points I could have done with.
Can you all relate to me when I say you reach an age where when you crouch down or when you come back from crouching down, you make a noise? It's like an involuntary.
Was it like the female tennis players when they like real loads of effort?
Yeah. I just imagine like sitting within earshot of Vol Bielsa. He must be doing that all day long. Incredible.
Because he does it all day, it's going to be easier for him to do it.
I suppose so, HG. I mean, does he do that on the training ground? I'd like to know, really.
Does he do it when he's eating dinner, perhaps?
Yeah. James, take note. The moment you start making a noise when you come back up,
that's when you're old.
It's absolutely not, Adrian. The moment you make a noise and it's sort of like or whatever it is, yeah, you'll know you're old. Clearly hasn't happened to me yet. I've just heard about it.
You're not middle-aged, are you?
Not middle-aged. I'm a spring chicken. John, sticking with you. Starting lineup for Spurs. How do you think we're going to line up? And while you do that, I'm just going to get another gin and tonic because I'm empty.
You do that,
again.
Okay. So I think the only difference we'll probably see Reguilon coming at left wing back because he was on the bench the other night. Obviously, he's had COVID. I think the rest of the back five will stay the same. Midfield is going to be Winks and Højbjerg because we don't have anyone else, pretty much. Although, wouldn't you just love him to give young White a go in the midfield? Or even Divine. That'd be brave, wouldn't it?
It'd be very brave.
Very brave. And then it's going to be Kulu, I imagine, unless he thinks he needs a rest. Kulu, Son, and Kane. He might chuck Lucas in instead of Son. Son hasn't been right yet, has he? And he's played quite a lot of football since his injury. But he's one of our best players, so he sort of has to put him in. What do you think, HG?
Yeah, like what I think he'll do is not change much at all. Obviously Bentancur's out, so you do expect Winks will come in. Clearly, Conte does like Winks, so Winks will start. I think there's no doubt about that. What do you do? As you said, Son's not been playing well, and it's not as if we don't have options. You give Son a rest and play Bergwijn maybe down that side, or even Lucas could easily come in. I don't want that, but it could happen. But weirdly enough, if Reguilon's not fit, or even if he is, part of me, I mean, this is never going to happen, but part of me wishes we went back to 4 at the back, and actually played. Then you could play Son down the wing, have a 4-2-3-1. That could certainly give Spurs a bit more attacking thrust with people that can actually attack. But I know it's not going to happen because Conte likes 3 at the back. But there's part of me that does think that a back 4, if Dyer and Romero are fit, then have those two as the central defensive partnership and maybe something different, because I think that's what we need, and we need to see something different. But the 5-4-1 we played to beat City was something different, and it worked. The good result against Liverpool was a 3-5-2. The good against Leicester was a 3-5-2. They were different and they worked. This 4-3, it's not been great. So I don't know, but I do expect to see a 3-4-3. I have to say.
Reggie due back in, then back from his COVID, I believe. Unfortunately, Skip and Benska missing. Do we rest anyone with the big match against Middlesbrough on Tuesday? Middlesbrough. I mean, let's not forget Shan's going, so it's probably gone anyway. Let's be honest.
Might as well play the kids on Tuesday.
They might as well play the kids. James, would you rest anyone?
Well, as it's been said, Son's not been brilliant. Maybe give him a rest for 45 minutes. Craig obviously thinks he'll score, so my opinion's worthless now. But, maybe give him a rest. Is there anyone else we can really rest? Not really.
Certainly not in central midfield region, unfortunately.
Unless you want to put Eric Dyer in midfield, which is brave and won't happen, or some youngster, which might happen against Middlesbrough, but won't happen tomorrow. No, basically. I suppose you could rest Kulusevski for Lucas. That's probably all you could do.
Derek, have you got a full squad available to pick from? Have you got a few players out still? Every time we play you, you've got loads of players out.
We still have, Cooper has been missing since December, won't be back until middle of March. Calvin Phillips, again, he won't be back until, again, maybe middle of March, which I guess probably leads to a lot of pessimism amongst Leeds fans.
Yeah.
I did see a stat in one of the papers this morning. When Phillips plays, our win percentage is 46%. When he's injured, it drops to 18. That guy's made a big difference. We've only won, I think, 11 of 41 games when he's not played, as opposed to a far better percentage when he's available. Yeah. But no, he's still missing for a few weeks, and Bamford may well be missing until the final weeks of the season. So the names that the starting lineup I expect is going to be pretty much the same players that you might have seen playing against Liverpool and Man U last week: Ayling, Llorente, Shernick, Dallas as the back four, Koch and Forshaw are the two holding midfielders. Then I've got Harrison, Rafinha, Rodrigo as the three in front of them, and Dan James up front. Subs. What subs? There'll be kids from the under 23s again.
Didn't you have a couple that did quite well, Derek, in the game at our place? You had a couple of youngsters came on and looked quite good, I thought. Yeah,
Gilbreth. He's been pretty much left on the bench most of the time. He hasn't really started that many games. Bielsa tends to play the same players week in, week out. Very little rotation. Very little flexibility unless they're injured. If everyone's fit, this is a starting 11, and with what he's got left, that's pretty much most of the senior players he's got. So they start, and one or two are left. I think it's only Roberts who's got any sort of experience that's not playing tomorrow, that's fit and not injured at the moment.
Derek, can I ask you a question? Obviously, yeah. Caller, whenever Wink starts, Caller goes mental, right? Are there any Leeds players?
Just not happy.
No, but okay. So, are there any Leeds players that, when you see them in the starting 11, your heart sinks? You're like, oh, not him again. Because I feel like every club should have these players, but maybe it's just Spurs. Go on.
There is one that I did mention in the podcast back in October, and that was Junior Firpo. If only because having the name Junior, when we had Junior Rocker, the Brazilian World Cup winning player, we got relegated the season he came to us because he was pretty hopeless. And Firpo is pretty much in that same vein in terms of he's not doing that well, as highlighted on Match of the Day 2 last week when they analysed the Leeds Man U game, and they showed him not exactly doing his defensive duties in a diligent manner. He's come from Barcelona, so we had good high expectations of him, but he's been seriously disappointing.
So you also crappy fullback from Barcelona. Okay.
Yeah,
we got a crappy fullback from Barcelona.
He's about the only one where if I see him in the starting lineup, I think, maybe we should have kept Aliansky, the left back that we had, but we let go. Well, I think we should have kept him because I think he'd have done far better for us this season, no matter what he would have asked for in terms of his contract.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's a question for you then, Derek.
I just saw Keith's message. Junior will score a hat-trick tomorrow. Probably like that Canadian centre back last week.
Probably. Oh, scored 3 own goals.
Hat-trick of own goals.
Hat-trick of own goals. Yeah.
She's a Liverpool player, apparently.
Oh, she? Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate to happen, but that's the sort of thing Junior would be more recognised for than doing anything favourable for us.
What's your prediction then, Derek, for tomorrow? Let's have your scores.
If I thought if you guys had beaten Burnley, I'd have taken it. You'd be a little bit complacent, and maybe we could sneak a draw. But having lost the manner in which you did, and all the furore about Conte, I can see it being something like 3-1 to Spurs.
Yeah. I'll take that. To be honest, I'd settle for not even a 1-goal defeat, but Am says that's better than a 6-goal defeat. But we need to pick up some points from somewhere, some unexpected points, I guess. And if we got a result tomorrow, much as it would harm your chances of trying to get into the top 4, it could be the difference for us come the beginning of May. Okay. 3-1. I'll take that, Derek. I'll take that. James, what's your prediction?
Do you know, Leeds play, they press a lot, so their back line's quite open, which helps us, I think. I have a feeling it's going to be a game with a lot of goals, which I don't usually predict. So I think it might be like a 4-2.
4-2.
Whether or not we'll score 4 goals or Leeds, I'm not sure. But I think there will be a lot of goals. That's my prediction. I'm going to be positive and say we'll win. And there'll be a lot of goals.
John?
Well, on the prediction league, I've gone Leeds 2, Dr. Tottenham 1. But now I'm starting to think about it, that they are quite open. So I think Jay's right. I'm going to go 3-3.
Wow.
You take that, Derek, right?
Oh, absolutely.
HG?
Yeah, if we're bad, Leeds could beat us. I hope we're not bad.
Doubtful.
Considering that we've had such terrible predictions, or I've had such terrible prediction skills recently, I will say that Leeds will win 2-1 and hope that I'm wrong again.
I think. What was I going to say? I think I can't remember now. Go on.
Well, all I was going to say was there's 130 people watching and only 46 likes. Can you believe that, John? Unbelievable. So
that's bad sport.
Please do hit the like button. Derek, I think that's probably all you've got time for. Is that? Do you need to get off?
Yeah, I mean, thanks again for asking me to come on and try and contribute to your show and all things Tottenham and their immediate opponents. Hopefully, we'll get to chat next season.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to say. Well, I'm quite.
If we keep
There's
doing
always
what
the
we're
cups,
doing,
Derek. There's always the cups.
Yeah, I mean, if we win, you're welcome back on Monday. But if we put a Burnley, then absolutely not.
But it's going to be hard. It is, really going to be hard. That's why I don't expect us. I can see like Kane. I mean, licking his lips at who is up against tomorrow. Yeah. If Conte's watched the 2 games we've played recently, he'll base the tactics around the centre backs bringing the ball out, and Dyer's particularly comfortable on the ball. So I can see that being a massive problem for Leeds. And if Bielsa's usual tactic is not to worry about what the opposition may try and do to us, it's going to be a problem again.
It won't actually be Dyer, will it? It will be Romero, and maybe Davis will be the ones to bring it out there because they play either side.
Dyer does pick a good ball. John.
He does ping a good ball, but he'll stay fairly near the back.
Yeah.
The other two will bring the ball out.
Yeah, just needs one, just one or two of them do it several times, and it's like when I saw bits of the Liverpool game, you thought it'd be Van Dijk doing that, but it wasn't. It was Matip. So whoever does it, it's going to cause us a problem.
Yeah, I don't. Just to be really clear, I don't want you to go down. But I don't want you to beat us. So we're going to win. We're going to win 3-2. I'm going to say a nice open game, and we'll have lots of stuff to talk to on Monday.
I just hope if you guys play Newcastle and all the other teams around us, that you pick up the points against them. We'll
do our best for you, mate. But we're not very good at picking up points against relegation for it.
Against anyone.
Or anyone right now. So thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem, guys. It's good to see you again. Speak soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Oh, there we go. I remember what I was going to say. Keith collared it. It's the early kickoff. We're not very good at early kickoffs, are we? Especially away.
We're not very good at first.
They're like me.
Just
like me, not morning people.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks, John. You've really put me in a good mood now.
Why, Dr. Tottenham?
And of course, Patreon predictions league is going along. I'm not doing very well at it, I've got to be really honest, but it is entertaining. Another benefit of Patreon. Fancy football as well. Don't forget that. Right. Let's talk a bit of histrionics, and then we're going to get into Conte. We're going to get deep into Conte. So, apparently, on this day, or as near as yesterday, was the 14th anniversary of our last trophy, 2-1 win over Chelsea in the League Cup.
James was 5.
Does it count as a major trophy, the League Cup, do you think? Or is it not quite as major as the FA Cup?
We've got to take everything we can.
Yeah, let's take it. But it's also 20 years, of course, since we lost to Blackburn in the League Cup final at Cardiff.
Brilliant.
Do you remember that game, HG?
No, I have never seen it.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Why?
I was living in Holland at the time. And so, like the years 2001, 2002, I didn't really watch any Spurs at all. Like whenever they show that Chelsea semi-final, where we beat them 5-1, I don't remember it. I never saw it. So there was a couple of years in the early noughties that I didn't really watch Spurs at all.
Well, this was going to be my question, and you can play along in the chat. So a little bit of trivia. 2002, obviously. Who won the man of the match that day?
Oh, I know that because I remember.
And the clue is he's played for both sides.
Oh, no.
That's not who I thought it was going to be then. I thought it was going to be Mark Hughes.
Not Mark Hughes.
Oh, okay. Blackburn. Oh, Brad Friedel.
It was Brad Friedel in goal for Blackburn, one man of the match.
I do remember we missed a hatful of chances, especially in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, I think if you look at our team, I was going to say, have you got a bit of a guesstimate of the team? Could you name any of the starting 11? Do you think HG will have a go at naming the starting 11?
Yeah. I know Ferdinand played. Like I've seen the highlights, but I never watched the game live. So
okay.
Chris Perry, maybe, was he around then?
Chris Perry was centre back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ledley?
Sullivan.
Ledley played. Sullivan in goal. Absolutely.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Ziga scored the goal for us, so he was left wing back.
He was left wing back. Doing well, actually.
Tarico or Davis, HG?
Tarico, right wing back, should say.
So we're missing one centre back.
You said Ben Thatcher. Ben Thatcher was your other centre back.
Oh,
the Welsh. He was like the Davis of his era.
No, he was a thug, wasn't he? Thatcher was a proper thug,
but also very average.
So midfield.
It's all in the name, really. It's all in the name.
So up front was Sheringham with Ferdinand. That's easy.
Yeah.
So who was the three midfielders? Oh, Sherwood.
Poyet must be one of them.
Sherwood and Poyet, yeah.
So who's the third?
And the other one?
Is it Simon Davis?
No.
So Ledley wasn't in midfield then?
No, centre back.
Oh, midfield.
I don't.
Wouldn't
I
have been
don't know.
Freund. Oh, Anderton.
Anderton.
There you go.
Darren Anderton. He's still going. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, and who was the manager of Blackburn that day? Do you think?
Oh, God.
Well, people keep on putting Mark Hughes.
No, he was
because he wasn't manager.
He played midfield, and I thought he got man of the match.
Midfield.
He was brilliant.
Okay.
Who's the manager of Blackburn back then?
Harford. It was after Dalglish.
Harford was after Dalglish, but this was a few years later, wasn't it?
Okay.
Well, Phil Ambrose in the chat has got it right. It was Mr. Winch at Tottenham. Graham Souness was the manager. Of course he was. And of course our manager was Glenn Hoddle. There you go.
Should have been teammates, those two. They should have been teammates.
Yeah. Should have been teammates. There you go. And also, yesterday was Neil Sullivan's birthday. Can you believe? How many games do you reckon he played for us, HG? I'm not going to ask you, James, because you don't know who Neil Sullivan is, I'm guessing.
100?
Close, not far. Do you want any advance on 100, John?
I know the answer, so I'd be cheating.
Oh, do you? Of course you do. Yeah. Well, go on then, cheat. That's also
81?
81, yeah, he did. He joined from Chelsea. There you go. And tomorrow, do you know his birthday is tomorrow? A Spurs legend.
Oh, 26th of Feb.
When I say legend, I mean that loosely.
Oh,
there was a rather racist song about him.
Pedro Mendes.
Oh, not him.
Birthday. Pedro Mendes.
There's another one then.
Pedro Mendes' birthday is tomorrow. Obviously signing from Porto. But how many goals did he score, HG, for Spurs?
Pedro Mendes. 2.
Well, I mean, he scored 1 plus the goal at Old Trafford, which never was. So I'll take 2. I think that's a good shout. And then also on the 26th of Feb, Adebayor's birthday. 113 games. How many goals, James? Have a guess.
I remember it. 17.
17 goals. Any advance on that, HG?
30.
Yeah, I was thinking more 35, 40.
42.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's almost a goal every other game. So, did you know he was the first Tottenham player to be awarded a £100,000 contract? There you go.
I remember him not being very good.
He was actually quite good.
He was quite good.
When he could be bothered, he was quite good.
Until we gave him when he was Man City's player, he was good for us. Until we signed him.
I remember it being said by someone, I can't remember who said this, saying on his day he's one of the best strikers in Europe, but his day came around about every year or so.
John's inserted a lovely stat here. A lovely stat. So he played 92 Premier League games for us. Did he score more his first season while on loan than he did in the following 3 seasons? Or not?
Bit of a loaded question, isn't it?
Did he or not? What do you think?
Have a guess at the numbers.
Yeah.
Like
first season and then the others combined.
So I don't know if he was on loan in the 11-12 season. He was,
yes,
right?
that one. Yeah.
That was the season when he was really good. So I'll say he scored more then than he did in the 6 months under Sherwood.
You're close. So he scored 17 goals in 2012. The next 3 seasons, he scored a combined total of 18 goals. So
in the Premier League, this is.
He was a very, very good part of that team. That was a really, really good side. That 11-12 side should have finished top 3. We were challenging for the title, really. When we went to Man City and had that stupid penalty in the last minute. But yeah, like Adebayor gets a bit of a bad rap, if I'm honest. Yeah, I think so.
He also scored a worldie at Chelsea, didn't he? In that 2-2 game.
Yeah, that was a good game of football. That was a really good game of football.
He did. And again, as Phil's pointed out, it was always fantastic when he played against us. And before he got a contract, before he got £100,000 a week, before Levy dipped his hand in his pocket, there's a couple of transfer. Go on, sorry.
No, just the $100,000 a week. Like, I mean, maybe from Spurs, but certainly that was what we had to pay for his wages from the loan, because he was on more than that at Man City, and Spurs wouldn't pay it all. And I think we agreed to pay $100,000 a week of his wage from Man City. But yeah, after when we gave him a contract, I suspect he was on at least that again.
I think that City had to pay him off his old contract, which is
they did.
Sort of
I remember that
compensated.
Okay.
Yeah. We still paid a lot of money for someone who didn't really turn up for the final 3 seasons of his contract. There's a transfer rumour going around at the moment. It's not Conte going anywhere for a change. Reguilon going back to Real Madrid. So the buyback clause, I think it's only active this summer. Is the last time to activate it, if I remember rightly. So the buyback clause is 45 million euros, 38 million quid. My question is, HG and James, I'll go to you first, James. Would you take that money and try and sign a different player or not?
I think the money for the player he is, 38 million, isn't unreasonable, actually. The reason I say no is, I'll tell you why, is because I don't think we'd sign anyone particularly good to replace him. Because I don't think our recruitment's any good.
Harsh, isn't it? A bit harsh, that, James.
Harsh?
Paratici do the business now.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he's business-wise, yes, but not run in a football club manner, personally. Signing players that are good assets is all well and good, but it doesn't help the performance on the pitch. End of the day. We'll probably sign some bloke from Italy, won't we? But yeah, I guess. I mean, it's a buyback clause, right? So we don't really have a say in it. If they want him back, they want him back.
He has a say in it.
He does, but he's not me, so I've never met him. So maybe he'd like to go back, maybe he wouldn't. I don't know that Madrid want to spend nearly £40 million on a left back, but maybe they do. They're doing quite well at the moment, so who knows?
Yeah, HG. No, I mean the key point there is what came out that. If they want to spend the money and Reggie wants to go, that's it. We don't have a say.
It's a lot of ifs, though.
Well, it's only 2. It's not a lot of ifs. Like you need 2 things to happen, and we have no control over either. But it would be weird for Real to go out and spend that money because, again, James is right. Like they have a left back. Do they really want to spend 40 million on a guy that's probably going to be just the reserve or the backup? And does Reggie? Will Reggie want to go? It's probably more likely he wants to go back, if I'm honest. He might like Spurs, but we don't appear to have a massively great future. It would be a bit of a gamble for him to stay, but if Conte wants him, then okay, fair enough. You wonder if he's really going to be ever good enough to do what Conte wants him to do as a wing back. Yeah. So I wouldn't be upset if he chose to go. It's a good fee, and yes, we'd have to go out and buy someone, which we might do terribly. But since we have no control over it, the I have is whether I'm going to be happy or not, and it could be a whole lot worse, frankly. So I wouldn't cry myself to sleep if he chose to go.
I like Reggie, John. I'd be a bit sad to see him there because he's got loads of potential.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of time for him. Cesc still worries me. He's desperately lacking confidence, isn't he? And I don't know whether we're ever going to turn him around. He's obviously a good player, but he's very much a confidence player. Reggie, I sort of get the feeling that he's starting to get there. He keeps finding positions. Obviously, he had that really good chance against Southampton. If he can learn a bit of composure, then we could have a good player there. But ultimately, if he wants to go back, I mean, why wouldn't he go back? If they are allegedly signing...
He's always very positive about Spurs on social media, which a lot of players aren't. So I genuinely
I genuinely
do think he likes the club and is very happy in London.
I agree. I think he is happy at the club. I think that's interesting. I don't know if that's true. But obviously, Marcelo's about 55 now, isn't he? Been there for years. I think that I'd be surprised if they spend that much money on him, given that supposedly they're signing Haaland and Mbappe this year. I know Mbappe's on the free, but they're going to pay him a fortune in wages, aren't they? Which, yes, they're going to save Bales. But, I mean, Haaland's going to cost, 65 mil? So they're going to have to ship some players out because then they haven't got money, I don't think. They're going to have to get rid of players to... They're not going to get a fee for Bale. Who's the striker? Jovic. He's on 400k a week. Is anyone going to pay that? Are they going to pay a transfer fee and pay his wages? I don't know.
No.
Where does their money come from? It's an aging squad, isn't it?
I think Real Madrid they were better with their money than Barcelona were. So Madrid don't really have the same issues. It's not hard, that's true, but I don't think they have the same issues. And as you said, Bale's going. I think Isco's out of contract. That'll be a low chunk of wages. So they are in that renewal phase. But you're right. Like they've got, I think, Ferland Mendy, the French guys.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So Mendy or Reguilon. I mean, I don't think either one of them are really top draw. So, yeah, it might be worth them doing it. But, like, I could see them doing it if they were then going to flip him and sell him on somewhere else for a profit or loan him somewhere else and maybe make a profit later on. Yeah. But I don't know if there are going to be that many teams that really want to do that.
Spending that much money as well in the post-COVID era, I can't see that. What club other than the big clubs have that much money to spend on a left-back? And it's not as if he's, world-class Gareth Bale levels, is it? He's a good player, but are you looking at him and thinking, all right, we'll spend $1 million on him? Yeah, probably not. I don't think.
I don't see any way Reggie goes. I really don't. I see the ways he can go, but I don't see it happening. So we'll see. We'll see who's right. And Sessegnon has kicked on a lot. To be honest, I thought he's played pretty well this season. Where
it's a very low bar to start with, if you think that.
Yeah, true. Well, let's be honest though. He didn't play much football, first team football prior to this season, did he? So he's out on loan.
Not for Spurs.
He played at Hoffenheim.
But he did play quite a lot for Hoffenheim. Yeah,
he played a lot for Fulham and did all right actually. So
in the Championship there.
Yeah. He was no good in the Premier League. I mean, Sessegnon was good in the Championship, but he was never good in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think
he's like Mitrovic.
I think the point remains that there's a player in there that you can absolutely unlock. It's not a disaster if Reggie goes. It's absolutely not. But I don't believe that will happen. I really don't. So
I think he's definitely good enough to be a backup left wing back. I think he's definitely good enough for that. As long as he kicks on, improves, because he's still young. He's still got time to develop and improve. And I imagine Conte is probably a pretty brilliant manager to do that for him. Wouldn't want him starting every week, but he's the odd bit of naivety is to be expected from a young player. And I hope we can just kind of coach that out of him. Now, if we're looking 2 years' time...
19, 20, something like that?
21.
21, yeah.
But he's 22 in May, so he's
still reasonably young. I mean, if we're looking 2-3 years' time, he's still got those naive little mistakes. That's when I just start to say he'll never be good enough. But where we are now, he's he can progress nicely. Definitely worth backup left backs in the league, aren't there?
I agree. I completely agree.
I think with Sessegnon, the biggest thing is it's mental for him. Like I think he's certainly got the ball control. I think he's talented enough on the ball. But if he doesn't believe it, it doesn't matter. And he goes into games and he's always looking to play the safe option. He never really takes people on. His own teammates seem almost unwilling to pass it to him because they know they're going to get it back. And I will say this: he doesn't get any help from Son really either down that side. No. So it's a bit unfortunate. But I didn't want us to sign Sessegnon when we did because he hadn't really done it at the top level. And he hasn't had a chance at Spurs really either. So you're hoping that he's going to come good, but there's been very little in his experience so far to make you think that he's going to.
Conte likes him.
I was just going to pick up on something HG said about the fact that he doesn't seem to have much confidence. I think that any sport or most things in life is 70% confidence. I think if you're not confident, you'll perform badly no matter how talented of a player you are. And if he's not confident, he is going to struggle, right? He needs confidence, and he's only going to get that from playing to some extent well, which is an uphill struggle. So I think you're absolutely right.
So what is the argument? Is the point that he should be playing under 23s for a few games? That's what they used to do in the old days, wasn't it? Put players in the reserves, which you don't have now.
The trouble is he's needed to make up the bench every week for Spurs because we've got so few players now. And obviously Reggie's been out the side. So look, Reggie's number one fullback. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think Sessegnon's as bad as he's being suggested. I think he'll be a decent Premier League player. And you're absolutely right, James. You're absolutely right. Confidence is literally everything.
Yeah,
he's got better attributes than Walker Peters.
He won't be a decent player for a club the size of Spurs unless he decides that he really wants to think he believes. Otherwise, he's going to be a mid-table, like Ryan Bertrand. Lovely career at Southampton, but yeah, that's about it. And that's not to say he's rubbish. It's just not what Spurs want. We don't really want players like that.
Ryan Bertrand does have a Champions League medal though, and Harry Kane doesn't. So there's that to remember.
There is always that to remember. Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of top four, here's a couple of questions for you. How many players do we currently? I spoke a lot last episode about our aspiration should be signing top four players, not middle of the road Sessignons or Winksies or whatever else. We should be aiming high. How many players do you think are playing at the level befitting a top four club in our team right now? Because when we talk about mentality and all the rest of it, all of that plays its part as well. So we're not just talking about the attributes, confidence, etc., etc. So obviously you've got Kane, haven't you? I'd say Hugo Lloris. I'd say Romero. Who else, HG?
Who else do I think is good enough to be part of a top four squad?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Dyer. I'll throw Dyer in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dyer, Romero. I think Davies is a very good squad player. I really do. Reggie, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skip, Kulusevski, Kane, Son. I like Bergwijn, so I'll put him in there. Lucas, I don't think is good enough, but I suspect as a squad player, okay. But I'd be happy to see him go. None of the right backs. Doherty, no. Royal, no. So we're a long way away. Like I think we need, frankly, like probably 10 or 11 players, first team or squad, but 10 or 11 players I think would be part of a good top four squad.
I think of the starting 11, probably 6 are good enough to be starting 11 players. That's not to say that the rest aren't good enough to be rotational options, because I think they are. I think a lot of our squad is okay as rotation options, just not first 11 quality, and I think that's really the problem, if I'm honest. I think Son, Kane, Bentancur, Romero, Lloris, Reggie they're all probably good enough to be starting players. I think we can do better than Davies. Dyer, definitely do better than Winks. Definitely need Skip. Good point. Forgot about Skip. Yes, Skip is good enough. I think at some point Conte will probably transition to a 3 in the midfield, like he did at Inter, and Skip or Højbjerg, probably Skip, will be the defensive player. Someone like Bentancur will be the player who runs around a lot more like Brozovic, and I'll be an out-and-out creative midfielder, which I think is really what we need. And then it'll be Kane and Son as the 2 strikers. I think in that system, most definitely Skip is good enough for top 4. Dare I say trophies?
Like I think, and Paddy makes a good point, right? Like
I agree.
We've got 4 or 5 players that are top class, could play for almost any team in the league, and we've got a lot of squad players who can do a job if and when they're asked, but a lot of them would need a bit more time to play, and they also need a system that works for them. If we were playing 4 at the back, I might be okay. Emerson could do that, but if we're going to play with wing backs, I want him gone because he's not a wing back. Right, I mean that's it. Like if you want your wing backs to attack, we need to get rid of that. And it's crazy because we've only just signed him. I don't blame him for not suiting the system, but if we want to actually have a system that functions, you need players who can play in that system. And a lot of ours don't really.
Have we got to Winks yet?
We're ignoring Winks.
No one said his name because we all think he should go.
Good.
Well, I mean. Did you know it's funny because the 1 or 2 good games he had them when there was 4 players in midfield, and there's no way Conte will ever play 4 in midfield. So, yeah. Maybe he's good enough for Burnley. Actually, no, Sean Dyche wouldn't have him at Burnley, would he? He's not big enough.
He's not physical enough.
No, I mean he could start. He could maybe go to eat a lot more, put on some weight, bulk up.
The only caveat to all of this is it's not necessarily realization; it's just opinion, and Conte's opinion is more important than anyone's ultimately. Yeah. But I do think that when you look at the side we had that went close to winning the league, We had Wanyama in midfield. I mean, he ain't what I would call a top 4 player generally, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Eric Dyer at the time, was playing great. So I think there's a lot of it, but we're just basing it on current form, really, not the potential of players.
I think about the blend,
so Winks is good enough then, is what you're saying.
English Iniesta.
Well, no, because no, absolutely not.
The reason Wanyama was decent was because of the blend. He had he had Dembele next to him and Eriksen in there as well. And he was a beast because no one could take the ball off him. He would win the ball every time. He was, for that season until he got injured, he was unbelievable because he was a brick wall, wasn't he?
But prior to him signing for Spurs, I was like, he's all right.
I think perhaps it's less about how innately good a player is and how good a player is at playing a specific role in the system. Wanyama was massive and he could bully anyone off the ball. So him covering for Dembele...
And he was mobile.
Right? Which is everything we don't have in our midfield now in a lot of ways, actually, even if he couldn't pass the ball. In the same way that, Sissoko isn't a very good football player, but he was quite big and he could do a little bit of dribbling and he did work quite hard. So in a certain system, you can compensate for the deficiencies in a player's game, right? So I don't know, because it's kind of, that's basically right, I think. It's hard, though, because I think we have a lot of players who you could definitely get into a top 4 side in our team, but you would have to compensate for their deficiencies.
Yeah.
And I just don't know at what point it's worth doing that or worth getting rid of them entirely. And that's a very different, much harder call to make.
Do you remember a couple of years ago, Winks was linked with Man City for 40 million? Now, actually, I can see Pep could improve Winks dramatically in that system.
Was it
because
true,
it's tippy-tappy.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Was it true? Or did, Charlie Kane decide to write a story? I mean, you never know, do you? You never know. I can't quite believe that was true, because if someone offered 40 million for Winks, would have taken it. Is the God's honest truth.
He also wanted Jorginho, didn't he, Pep? Right, but he went to Chelsea because of Sarri. And I don't think they're actually massively different players in what they do. I just think one's a lot better than the other. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and the function they fulfill, one does it really well, the other one does it terribly.
You can have two. You can have two hammers, one that's made out of wool and one that's made out of metal. They're both hammers. One's just not very good.
Yeah. Summary: Winks is shit.
You'd have to put a lot around him.
Here's another question for you. I was watching the Burnley game the other night, and Weghorst, he's a problem maker, isn't he? He's a troublemaker, he roughs them up, and he's your old.
You're literally describing HG.
Yeah, old lanky striker. Why weren't we into someone like him? Why wouldn't we in for someone like him? HG, he 12 million euros or quid or whatever it was. It's not very expensive. Surely that's someone who would have enhanced our forward options.
I agree. Well, there's not much more I can say to that. Like someone like Weghorst, who is a proven goal scorer in a top 5 league, to get him for the money that Burnley. Like I was surprised he actually decided to go to Burnley.
Yeah,
because he had really
He didn't realise where it was. To be honest,
of course he knew where it was, but like. It is weird. I think Weghorst is better than a club for the level of Burnley, but he fits what they do perfectly. And I think he'd fallen out a little bit at Wolfsburg, like most Dutch players tend to do. They like to fall out with certain with clubs, but I just like someone like Weghorst as to wear the Spurs number 9 and be the extra option off the bench and be something different. Yes, I would have done that every day of the week. I know he's 29. I know it would have been a short-term thing. But that would have been something that I would have been okay with.
We signed Llorente when he was like 32, didn't we?
Quite.
And he was very good for us, actually, I think, in a lot of games. And I think Weghorst is basically a premium Llorente in that he can actually run as opposed to walking everywhere. So, why not? I mean,
the good thing is we talk about the relegation battle. Like, whichever 3 teams go down, there's going to be some pretty good talent available, I would imagine. Players that would come in at Spurs and actually improve the squad. May not be like if it was San Maximin at Newcastle, well, they're going to keep him because they can, right? They wouldn't need to. But there are Everton players. If Everton went down, Brentford players, if they went down, I think probably Norwich is the only one where I look at it and think, yeah, okay, you can keep them. No offense to the Norwich players, but I don't see anyone there that makes me think, yes, I really think they're going to be good enough. But that will be, Leeds. Like, I mean, if Leeds go down, Calvin Phillips is gone, right?
Maybe Phillips,
Spurs,
Rafinha.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think he'd pick Spurs. I'm not sure either of them would. But there are going to be players in those teams who will go.
Even I think Rafinha's gone anyway.
I know you don't like Bamford, but teams would be interested in him 100%.
Yeah, Rafinha's going to go anyway this summer. But yeah, I think I can see Phillips going to United probably, which will be although maybe he's a Leeds boy, isn't he? So maybe
no, I think Liverpool is more Calvin Phillips.
That's the other one. Yeah.
Maybe Phillips playing at Spurs. He's not the player we need anyway. I think the thing is, it's all very well and good looking at these players and saying they are good players. I agree. Do they fit the system? Because I think that's the most important thing. End of the day, midfield-wise, we need someone who is creative. We need an Eriksen. Now, I hear there's this guy at Brentford who's quite good, and he's also called Eriksen. Maybe he'd fancy coming to Spurs. His contract's only 6 months long. You never know, right?
You never know.
Job done.
You never know.
You could have him glued to the middle of the pitch, and he would still be better than Harry Winks if he could just pass the ball either way. Dennis Rumford.
No, and he's got experience of Conte's system. I mean, it is weird. Like 3-4-3, I don't want us doing it next year. Like 3-5-2 has to be what we want to do, but then that doesn't really give Kulusevski a place in the team. Where does he play in a 3-5-2? That I don't know. So it feels as if we are, we said this a few weeks ago. Like Paratici's buying quality youngsters that could hopefully play various things in various systems, but we're not actually buying for one specific one. So I saw a comment, I think, from Adrian that Spurs need to have more than one system. I completely agree, but we need to have one that we're actually quite good at first. Once we get that, then I'll worry about a plan B. But a plan A that is actually successful, we seem miles away from it right now.
All right, well, sorry about that. I don't know. I hit the wrong button early. That'll be definitely outtakes. These backboards are too sensitive. I was going to wrap up anyway, to be honest. Thanks very much for joining us. I've surprised myself. I've thrown myself now. That's never happened before. Thanks very much for joining us. In terms of the Cheese Room sponsor, football prizes, there is a fantastic prize up for grabs. $4.95 tickets. 99 of them, and the competition ends 1st of March. Using the code POD10, you can save 10%. As always, using our Cheese Room code. HG, thanks for joining us this evening. It's been fantastic to see you as ever.
Yeah, Friday night fun. I'll try and get some fish and chips for next week because I do miss it. There's got to be some kind of way.
Fish and chips on a cold day when the steam's coming off and the vinegar. Beautiful. Yeah,
I'll have to do it somewhere else because we're vegan at home, so that ain't gonna happen. But fish and chips, I do miss it. I really do.
Yeah.
Really?
John?
What?
Jay, we're lucky. We live by the beach. We've got fish and chip shops everywhere. So
Well, I don't like fish and chips. So
do you not? Okay.
No.
Well, I've got loads of fish and chip shops near me. So happy days. Thanks, caller.
I was going to say, is that it?
Yeah.
And James, if you don't like fish and chips, what's your poison?
Steak. Nice blue steak.
No, but fast food. I mean, fish and chips. You can't compare fish and chips to steak.
Oh,
Steve Diver does.
I don't.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I don't really eat very much fast food. An Indian, I suppose, takeaway.
That looks like a man who's had too much steak to me. Right there. Indian, good choice. My favourite.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Let's see if I can press the buttons right this time. Until next time, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.